What happens when the man who spent his entire life making the world laugh suddenly stops, looks directly into the camera, and tries to warn us about the shadows?
Bonjour, how are you?
Oh, it's a wonderful feeling. I really took on a pretty big challenge trying to do my speech in French.
Picture this. Jim Carrey, the legendary rubber-faced comedian we all grew up loving, shows up in Paris looking completely unrecognizable, sparking massive internet rumors that he'd been replaced by a clone with a different eye color. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. Years before this bizarre appearance, Jim crashed a national late-night television set, threw up a secret society hand symbol, and explicitly warned the audience that the entertainment industry was nothing but a distraction, crafted by elites who control the world. Not long after he started pulling back the curtain, tragedy struck his personal life in the darkest way possible, involving a sudden passing, a missing stash of medication, and a highly suspicious alias known as Arthur King. And if you think his warnings were just the ramblings of a broken actor, wait until you hear about the newly reopened state investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's sprawling New Mexico desert fortress. We're talking about leaked elite emails, a billionaire banking dynasty, and terrifying whispers of real-life human hunts being treated like a country club sport. When you stack the pieces together, a horrifying picture begins to form. Jim Carrey wasn't losing his mind. He was trying to hand us the blueprint to the Matrix.
One person wrote, "There's no way in hell that was Jim Carrey." Another said that "I'm dead" was super cryptic and dark. Someone else said, "They're testing us one last time if they can get away with it like Joe Biden."
The internet absolutely shattered when footage from the 51st César Awards in Paris began circulating. Jim Carrey was there to receive an honorary Lifetime Achievement Award, which should have been a standard, heartwarming moment for a beloved Hollywood icon. He even delivered a portion of his speech in French, drawing cheers from the audience. But nobody watching the footage at home cared about the trophy or the language skills. They were entirely focused on the man standing at the podium, because the person holding that award did not seem like Jim Carrey. The physical differences were immediately jarring. Longtime fans scrutinized every single frame, pointing out that his jawline seemed entirely altered. His teeth, which have always been a signature part of his massive, expressive smile, looked structurally different. Even his voice, typically booming and full of chaotic energy, sounded remarkably softer, slower, and strangely hollow. He was smiling and joking, but it felt incredibly unnatural, almost like an actor playing the role of Jim Carrey, but forgetting the core essence of the character.
There is a huge conspiracy theory about beloved Hollywood actor Jim Carrey right now because people are saying he's acting and looking very different. Did the Illuminati finally get their loudest whistleblower and clone him, thus silencing him? This is like two conspiracy theories in one, so here's everything you need to know.
I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower.
So yesterday, 64-year-old Jim Carrey received a César Award in Paris, which is like a French Oscar. And he was just suspiciously acting out of character for the iconic Jim Carrey personality. And longtime fans also noticed he looked younger or very different. And for a lot of actors in Hollywood, that's the norm. He's 64. I support people getting work done. But a lot of conspiracy theorists who are really just diehard fans say normally Jim Carrey would never do this. His whole brand is drastically changing his facial expressions and melding his face into whatever he needs to do for his role. It's just the last person you would ever expect to do that. But what's really freaking people out and driving home the conspiracy theory is that his eyes are a completely different color now. They are green, but they used to be very obviously brown. Is it him? Is someone new under the mask? And Jim Carrey is infamous for his whole career long time, giving very powerful speeches against government corruption, against capitalism, against those in power.
People started digging into fringe celebrity replacement theories, bringing up old bizarre claims from figures like Kid Buu, who once went on a viral interview and boldly stated that an underground cloning facility exists in the United States. He claimed that consciousness and memories could be extracted from a fragment of bone and placed into a genetically modified replica. According to these wild corners of the internet, the powers that be simply wait for a celebrity to become too difficult to control, quietly remove them from the equation, and insert a docile, cooperative version in their place. While it sounds like a script straight out of a science fiction thriller, the unsettling energy radiating from the Paris footage made even the most logical skeptics pause and wonder, why did he look so incredibly different? Why was his spark completely gone?
Okay, and what nationality are you?
Sicilian and Puerto Rican.
Okay. Sicilian and Puerto Rican. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that now.
Those are my two genomes.
Okay. Who's the Puerto Rican one? Who's the Sicilian one?
When I was cloned, they wiped a lot of memory, but when I stole the documents before escaping, I read that the mother was Puerto Rican and I guess the father, surrogate, you could say, was the sperm donor was the Sicilian.
Okay, so you were a test tube baby.
Yeah.
What's that?
Shout out CLONED.
Yeah. Well, you could actually, as soon as you die, they could actually freeze your body.
Well, what happened with my first gen is they took the skull because he initially had written in a will to the Raelian movement that if something were to happen to him, they can ship the skull over immediately to CLONED. So they can remove a fragment of bone that's located here. And in this fragment of bone, it stores all of your memories and consciousness. And with that, they can make a sufficient replica of yourself, a reproductive version of you, including your memories. And you can be selective as to which ones you keep or don't keep. This process has been around for quite some time. Like Dolly the sheep was cloned back in, I think, the late 70s, early 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
Dolly the sheep, yeah, I remember that. And they've cloned a lot of animals over the years.
Yeah, CLONED, I don't want to say too much information. This is going to be broadcasted on the internet.
But I don't think they could transfer the actual memories, though.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're living proof of this?
Yeah, I'm living proof. Except all the memories. A lot of them I don't have because of drugs and alcohol as a teenager. So it's kind of like burning an MP3 CD, right? So let's say, we don't do this, people don't do this anymore, but back in the day, you would bootleg a CD, you would need the original copy. You put it in, it reads the disc, transfers all the files, you have the same exact CD, it's the same thing. All the tracks, everything, every bar, every hit from every note, everything's gonna be on there. Now, if I scratch that CD, I may not be able to read all the files on the disc, making it impossible to transfer and make a new one, a new copy.
But to understand why millions of people genuinely believe the real Jim Carrey was silenced or replaced, we have to look back at the exact moment he stopped playing Hollywood's gastic shift points directly to a Fashion Week red carpet event back in 2017. A reporter for E! News approached him for what was supposed to be a standard, fluffy celebrity interview. She asked him if it was true he was wandering the streets looking for a date to the party. Instead of delivering a charming punchline, Jim began circling her, looking deeply uncomfortable in his own skin, and launched into a philosophical spiral that left the reporter entirely speechless. He looked her dead in the eyes and flatly stated that there was no meaning to any of it. He declared that he wanted to find the most meaningless event possible just to join in, completely trashing the entire concept of the fashion gala. When the reporter desperately tried to save the segment by bringing up the celebration of icons, Jim shut it down immediately. He confidently stated that he did not believe in personalities, he did not believe in icons, and most chillingly, he did not believe that she or he even existed.
Tell me, is it true you're wandering the streets? You need a date to the party? What's up?
No. I'm doing just fine. There's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're celebrating.
You got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in icons?
boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have the power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others? Artistry? You're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah. You shut her down now. Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself. And I don't care.
But Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No, I didn't
Was that an
get dressed
accident?
up. I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
People thought he was just being an eccentric, wealthy artist who had lost his grip on reality. It was easy to write him off as a guy who had spent too much time reading philosophy books. But then he took his message out of the abstract and onto national television, and things got dangerously real.
Researched my whole life on what the entity was before I got there, you know. My intention was to get in there and kick up some dust and try to become a whistleblower that they don't knock off. Because, you know, they get all the whistleblowers.
Jim walked onto the set of Jimmy Kimmel Live, a show historically known for safe, scripted, heavily controlled entertainment. But the second he stepped through the doors, the atmosphere in the room completely changed. He didn't just wave at the crowd. He aggressively crashed the stage, throwing his hands up to form a massive triangle over his face while sticking his tongue out through the center. He held this bizarre pose, pacing back and forth, making sure every single camera in the studio captured the gesture. The audience cheered, assuming it was a wacky new physical gag. Kimmel sat at his desk, nervously laughing and playing dumb, asking what the symbol meant. Jim didn't back down. He walked right up to the desk and dropped the comedy act entirely.
Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
Oh, I like it. It is a scraping.
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue. And I'm sick of it. I want everybody to be in on the joke, man. You know what I mean? For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know, and they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things and, you know, and you know, look at them trying to...
The sudden and heartbreaking loss of Jim's former girlfriend, Catriona White, sent shockwaves through the media. She was a talented makeup artist, only 30 years old, with her entire life ahead of her. But the circumstances surrounding her tragic end read like a dark, psychological thriller. She was found in her rented Los Angeles home after not being seen for several days. The couple had reportedly broken up just a week prior. She left behind a deeply unsettling and heartbreaking note addressed to Jim, expressing her disbelief that he was no longer there, stating she could try to put the pieces back together, but simply did not have the will this time. She signed the note Dewdrop, a deeply personal pet name Jim had given her. It was an unfathomable loss that left Jim completely shattered. He was seen carrying her casket in Ireland, looking like a hollow shell of the man the world knew.
Jim Carrey was devastated last September when his 30-year-old girlfriend killed herself. Now, 10 months after the funeral for makeup artist Katrina White, the just-released autopsy report details her final days. She left a suicide note for Carrey. They had broken up the week before. I've spent 3 days now in disbelief that you're not here. I can go on brokenhearted and try to put the pieces back. I could, I just don't have the will this time.
She had not been seen in 4 days at that point. The last person she'd spoken to, it's believed, is Jim Carrey.
Chris Spargo is a reporter with thedailymail.com, which obtained the autopsy report.
Jim Carrey texted her the night before saying that he was actually missing a bunch of pills from his medicine cabinet, asking if she had them, but there was no response.
The toxicology report says she had multiple drugs in her system, including pain medication prescribed to an Arthur King, who is believed to be an alias used by Carrey, according to published reports.
She had obtained 3 bottles of pills from someone under an alias. It's believed it was possibly Jim Carrey.
Carrey last spoke to Katrina White via FaceTime for 3 minutes. Her body was found 4 days later in her rented home in Los Angeles. In her note, Katrina left the funeral arrangements up to Carrey.
We know they called Jim Carrey first when they found her body after finding her cell phone, before they even called her family. So he obviously was incredibly torn up about this, but he really was there in the aftermath.
She ended her note to Carrey saying, "Please forgive me. I am just not for this world." She signed it, Dewdrop, the pet name given to her by Jim Carrey.
Years before the Kimball incident or the tragedy in Los Angeles, Jim had already proven he was willing to bite the hand that feeds him. He made a highly controversial appearance on Larry King Live alongside Jenny McCarthy. The topic of the evening wasn't a new blockbuster movie. It was the pharmaceutical industry, mandatory medical schedules, and the safety of young children. Jim did not hold back. He sat on national television and aggressively questioned the institutions that the public is taught to trust blindly. He demanded transparency from massive medical conglomerates, pushing back against the American Academy of Pediatrics and asking why thousands of families were being actively ignored. He wasn't just offering an opinion, he was declaring war on an industry with infinite financial resources.
Today the world was World Autism Awareness Day. You both must be encouraged by all that's happened in this subject since you literally started it.
Yeah, we've come a long way within the community. When I first had Evan diagnosed with autism, there wasn't much of anything. I had to find out about biomedical treatment on the internet after I typed in autism on Google. And out 3 years later now, there's 3 books and many thousands of children getting better because of biomedical treatment.
Jenny brought so much focus to this problem. And kind of that's why I'm here, is I want to bring as much focus as we can to this problem.
You married autism. Or, well, you're not married, so you live with autism.
When I invited Jenny into my life, I invited Evan into my life. And when I first met Evan, it was like he was on another planet. I wasn't in the room. There was no eye contact. There was no response to dialogue. There was no affection. And over time, I witnessed Jenny pull Evan through the window of unconsciousness and isolation into our world, where he is now a fully functioning person who can communicate, who can connect, and this is through biomedical treatments, GFCF diet, and the therapies that she's talking about. So I believe that autism, in my heart, is preventable
and treatable.
Fully functional. He's
completely recovered, Larry, completely recovered. And he's not the only one. There are thousands in this community that are getting better.
Why did you go so publicly? I mean, you had an autistic child. He got better. So why are you here?
I could have, hid and not said anything, and Evan would have blended into society. I made a pact with God, though. The day Evan became diagnosed with autism, I said, if you show me the way, God, and show me how to heal my boy, I will continue to teach the world how I did it. And within 1 year of that kind of conversation with God, Evan was undiagnosed from autism.
But it's still shocking to see how many people are ignoring this information.
The American Academy of Pediatrics, I begged and have sat down with and said, why are you not sitting down with our doctors and our scientists who are treating and recovering children with autism? And they refuse to this day to sit down.
I think if there was any possibility that a child was being helped, that someone would listen, someone would take a look. And the fact is, they're not even considering the information. They're not only not considering, they're discouraging it.
The backlash was swift and brutal. Headlines tore him apart. He was labeled a danger to public health, an uneducated actor stepping out of his lane, and a conspiracy theorist spreading harmful misinformation. The media effectively excommunicated him from mainstream favor. You don't mess with $1 billion medical complex and walk away with your career fully intact. This established a very clear pattern in Jim's life. Whenever he saw a system that he believed was actively harming harming humanity, he refused to stay quiet. He sacrificed his beloved public image to tell the truth as he saw it. He had become a massive, unpredictable liability to the establishment. But what exactly was the establishment hiding? Why was the industry so desperate to keep everyone docile and entertained?
I don't exist. So they're all characters that I've played, including Jim Carrey, including Joel Barish, including any of those things. They're all characters. Jim Carrey was a less intentional character, right? Because I thought I was just building something that people would like, but it was a character. I played the guy that was free from concern so that people who watched me would be free from concern.
So what really happened to the man who gave us Ace Ventura and The Truman Show? Did the relentless pressure, the tragic loss of a loved one, and the brutal media smear campaigns finally break his spirit? Did he simply surrender, deciding to retreat back into the comfortable illusion of the Hollywood machine to live out his golden years in peace? Or is the internet right? Did the powers that be finally decide that their loudest, most unpredictable whistleblower was entirely too dangerous to be left on the board? Look closely at the footage from Paris. Look at the eyes. Look at the smile that no longer reaches the soul. Is that really him? Or are we looking at the ultimate disguise? Let us know what you believe in the comments below.